as far as our fans showing up. The Red Coat Marching Band was there, our cheerleaders were there. It was a great day, I think, for Georgia football and the University of Georgia. I thought it was a pretty cleanly played game. We're thankful only one guy got hurt and it wasn't too serious. Eddie McClellan had a little something with his knee, but we don't think it's very serious. Not thankful that he got hurt, but thankful that there wasn't a lot of that going on. And I thought, starting with the quarterback play, I thought Hudson did a nice job, like he's been doing all spring long, of finding the open targets, getting us in the right plays, right protections. I thought he stood in the pocket very well, bought some time back there a couple times to make some plays. I thought he did a nice job. Overall, Fatone, I think made a wise decision to go with the normal colored jersey to play live. I think it allowed him to show what he could do athletically to add to his game. I thought he did a very nice job. I think Bryce, he struggled today with a little bit of his accuracy. He and Jacob both, threw a couple balls that probably shouldn't have been thrown. But that's just the learning process that you go through as a young quarterback. But I think those guys are, very talented. I think they're guys that are going to be very good. I'm not going to sit here and say what kind of pecking order we have, because it was just one day, and we got a couple more days of practice left. But I thought that quarterback play overall was pretty good, and that. It helps to have good protection. I thought the number one unit did a very good job of protecting, not only linemen, but backs and tight ends at times. I think overall the protection was good. We ran the ball decent, not great, but decent. I'm talking about the number one unit, basically. As far as defense is concerned, I kind of feel their pain a little bit sometimes when they probably could have hit the quarterback as he's throwing it, or probably could have got a sack, or probably could have. You never know when a ball is being thrown, like that one where Hudson rolled out and hit Chris down the middle. I mean, Marlo had run past him about 2 steps before he threw the ball, so there's no way that ball would have got thrown. And so that statistic never would have existed. And now, if he had gotten hit and the ball was a fumble and the defense scoops it and scores it and it unites the team, I don't know. So it's hard to get some of those types of plays. But I think our defense is absolutely in the process of learning, what to do, how to do it. Our coaches are doing a good job of making sure everybody gets it done the way they want it done. And it's going to take time before we really can sit here and say who ought to line up as the number one this or that on defense. Got a lot of freshmen and a junior college player coming in the secondary. We've got some young players coming in with some ability that we think will give us a boost and even fight for starting jobs. So it'll probably be second, third scrimmage of the spring before we can lay out our starting lineup, I would think, defensively.
What did you learn about your team today?
Oh, I think that I think we're getting there. I think everybody's working hard towards what we're trying to get done. I think today was the hottest practice of the spring. I like the sunshine, but it was probably a little bit warmer than what they were used to playing in, and I thought they fought through it pretty good. A lot of deep balls in the air today, and some completed, some intercepted, some pass interference, some batted away. I mean, a little bit of everything. It was good, just good learning to see that ball in the air and learn how to defend it better, learn how to play, make a play for the ball offensively better, learn how to throw it better. We don't mind taking shots around here. I think it's important to let the defense know you can go deep, and we had a couple guys make some nice plays.
What were your observations about the rhythm between Mason and Conley?
The rhythm, I don't know about the rhythm, but I think first of all, the tempo of the offense was outstanding. I think Hudson really enjoys tempo, a faster pace. I think he handles that very well. Chris is a very accomplished receiver in my mind. He's going to run good routes, he's going to get good separation. And Hudson is smart enough to know where to place the ball to give him the best shot at making the play. And if he's got protection, you know, I'm confident that Hudson will give us, all of our receivers, the best chance of catching it. He threw a little back shoulder throw, and I think that was him, throwing it on the end zone for a touchdown to the left. I think that was to Reggie Davis. And there's, you know, some deep balls he threw on the money. One time he got, well, I guess the first play of the game, he was actually kind of getting hit as he threw it, and Conley caught it, but that was another play right there. In a real game, there's a good chance that ball might have got stripped and a fumble and a scoop and a score. You know, the defenders, they know not to touch the quarterback, and they shouldn't have even touched that ball, but I think that those two guys will work just fine together.
I was feeling about 73 passes total in the game today. Was it kind of leaning more heavy that way? We know Todd carried it only 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
Kind of normal game, a spring game like this?
It's up to Mike to call it the way he wants, and our other offensive coaches to call it the way they want. I mean, I want to see guys execute. It's good to see quarterbacks throw the ball in scrimmages in front of an audience. It's just one more facet of the game that you can't really simulate in practice. So I think it's good for those guys to throw the ball and just see how they're going to react. So I'm not mad we threw that many.
Mark, what's going on with the offensive line? You guys trying to find the right left guard? Is that what's coming?
Yeah, that's part of it. You know, Pike's been pretty solid at the right guard to this point. David, obviously, he's been the center and done a good job. Colton looks to be in the top 5. Theus is in the top 5. You know, the question is going to be, you know, is Cabrano going to be left guard and Theus left tackle, or is Colton going to go to left guard and Theus go to right, which puts Martin Beard at the left, and you know, so we're just going to have to wait and see. But it'd have been nice to see Watson Ansler practice the whole spring, because I thought he was coming along. I think we've got probably 6, 7, 8, maybe 9 offensive linemen. I think by the time the season rolls around, we'll be able to play for us.
Mark, you said, I think it was on the night that Aaron got hurt, that you felt like Hudson had been ready for a couple of years. Have you seen anything in the spring that makes you think that?
Not at all. I think, I mean, he had a good day today. I think he's had, the other 2 scrimmages were even better than today, and I thought today he did well. He's just very knowledgeable. I think he's very comfortable. I think he's accurate. I think he's a competitor. I know he's excited about this offseason and leading the things that the players have to lead in the summer. I think he's ready for all those challenges, and it was sad that Aaron got hurt, but it was good for Hudson to play a couple of games. There's nothing like being down 20, especially 20-0 in your first start, and everybody's looking around like, what's up? And he's probably wondering himself. So I think that game really helped him live through something that is better happening this past year than what's going to happen in the future.
What do you think of your defense today?
I thought they did fine. I think that the offense is ahead of the defense right now, and it makes sense that it does. You know, the entire offensive staff is back. The entire system is back. Many veterans that know exactly what to do. The only guy that didn't know what to do going into spring was Jacob Hart, because he's a mid-year guy. So tremendous advantage for the offensive team to know what's going on defensively. Everybody's learning. You know, Coach Pruitt knows the system and what he's installing, but he's learning personnel. You know, what can these guys do? What can't they do? He wants to put guys in position to see what they can do. He wasn't trying to win the day today. He was trying to put guys out there and just evaluate where he is. And I think our players obviously are just battling, learning everything and getting comfortable with it. Even though there's a lot of similarities, there are some similarities in schemes. I mean, everybody plays 3 deep, everybody plays 2 deep and all that, but there's a little different language for everything. So they gotta learn that language. They gotta learn what each position coach really wants fundamentally. So it takes a little time, but then like I said, you go back and watch that film and you'll see, I can remember at least 3 plays that probably either would have been a sack or some type of fumble, you know, a quarterback with the ball out here and it might have got a strip and a fumble and all that kind of thing. So those are the kind of plays that turn a game around, and the defense not being able to hit the quarterback, I think makes it tough.
Do you feel like you have a better understanding who might, if Hudson's gonna be the heir apparent, is there for the backup? I mean, of those
Yeah.
three, did you see anybody that stood out to you?
Well, we've been, I say we, my coach Bob and I have mainly been seeing Fatone and Bryce kind of battle it out. That's kind of how we've been distributing reps. I think today was the first time Park ever got a rep with the one. I might be mistaken, but for the most part, those two guys have been battling it out, and Park's been trying to learn what to do. You know, I think it's been a good battle, quite frankly. I think Fatone certainly did a nice job today, and Bryce probably had his least impressive practice, but that doesn't mean that all spring long he hadn't done a lot of really good things. So, and we know he's still learning as well.
Coach, with the way last season went, I mean, just the spring, have you noticed just a different work level of some of the guys where maybe if they're not starters, they know that there's a real chance that one way or another they get on the field?
I think the guys on defense especially, I imagine if you're interviewing, they'll all tell you that no one really knows who's gonna play where, who's gonna start, who's gonna do what. And, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. I think that this offseason is gonna determine a lot. When you start deciding what kind of work ethic we got, what kind of, you know, what kind of improvement can we make. So, I mean, the jury's out, obviously, and, but you know, I don't know, what was it, two springs ago? The spring going into the year, we played for the championship, and y'all remember our offensive line we felt like was pitiful in the very beginning. But by the time G-Day came around, they showed a couple signs, and before you know it, they had a great offseason, and we played pretty good up front. But I guess what I'm saying, there's a lot of time to get better in a lot of areas, and I even remember David Pollock, the spring going into the year that he was SEC Player of the Year, he was getting whipped bad. I mean, Smitcomb was just taking him to the woodshed every day, but he had a phenomenal offseason, and he got in tremendous condition and worked on his technique, and before you know it, he was making plays every day in practice, and it carried over into the season.
Mark, in terms of takeaways from this game, you take more or less out of this game than the other two scrimmages?
I think, I don't know, maybe a little bit more. I mean, it is closer to a game. But it reminds me back when I played quarterback, and back in my day, you know, I had this great game, spring game, but I probably wasn't having all that great of a spring. So I'm thinking, well, shoot, I played good in the spring game, so I'm gonna be the man. Well, turns out Jim Kelly was the man, you know? And I think I can finally admit that Coach Schnellenberger was probably right. But you know, it was hard for me and my mom to believe that was the truth. But so, you know, and he said it back then, he said, you know, he did a good job, but it's just one day, you know, and I got mad, but he was right.
How much did the injuries to JJ and Trey affect what we saw personnel-wise today?
Say that again, I heard about the injuries with those guys, but
How did that affect what we saw with personnel today? Damian?
Oh, well, I mean, those guys were getting reps, a lot of reps, and, you know, JJ was playing a lot of first-team nickel before he got hurt. Trey was playing a little bit of both first and second-team reps, so they're right in the mix for starting positions, you know, they're right in the mix for playing time.
Did Trey just get banged up in the last week?
I pulled a hamstring again. He's had some chronic hamstring issues, which we probably need to reevaluate what we're doing with him, and how we train. You know, I mean, there's something going on, and you know, some of it, I mean, he's probably got to take some more ownership too. You know, you got a deficit in some areas, and you might need to spend a little more time with flexibility stuff in the off season than maybe another guy would have to.
Lucas Red had a lot of snaps today. Were the
Yeah.
injuries, the circumstances?
That was part of it, but you
How
know,
did he do?
Lucas has had a good spring. I think Jeremy likes the fact that he knows how to line up. He knows what to do. He's a pretty good tackler. You know, he's definitely competing for playing time. It's legitimate for him to think that he's got a chance to play some scrimmage downs. You know, Connor Norman was kind of in that role before, kind of a walk-on coming out of nowhere in the spring. Of course, Aaron Davis kind of came out of nowhere, and he's playing well. And Askew made a play or two, and a couple corners that redshirted a year ago because they transferred and are now having a chance to compete. So, I mean, if you're wondering if we're telling the truth about this thing being wide open, just look at those guys and the amount of reps they're getting.
Is that a good thing?
I think it is, because it's letting everybody understand that best man wins, regardless of who it is. And these guys are good athletes. These guys are good players. I think reading about Aaron, I think he had a couple ACLs back in high school that kind of kept him from maybe getting the kind of attention he would have if he stayed healthy the whole time. Maybe got a diamond in the rough there, you know, or at least open enough to, you know, give him an opportunity, and so far he's doing a good job with it.
Mark, can you talk about Todd Gurley's play this spring? I know you guys had a conversation. What did you get out of
Todd,
that?
well, you know, Todd, I didn't know for sure what Todd had as far as his ability to go full speed, because in the off-season conditioning stuff, our mat drills and all, Ron Corson, our director of sports medicine, held him out because there were some things nagging his lower leg still. And so when he started out, I didn't know, was he full speed, was he not? I even made a comment, I don't even know if he's gonna practice one of these times in one of our press conferences. And so as I'm watching him go, I'm seeing a little bit of a limp, a little bit of a whatever, and I mean, I'm not gonna jump a guy if he's got an injury, or if he's cutting it out through a little bit of pain, you know. I'm gonna say, I'm thankful he's out there and he'll work his way through it, but you know, after enough practice, I felt like he was, you know, you might have seen a play or two is like, hey, this guy's healthy, and I need to see more effort, you know. And it wasn't awful, but when you're Todd Gurley, people tend to notice what you do, and you can't hide. And but we just talked a little bit about his ability to lead, his ability to lead by just practicing hard and by buying into, you know, what the coaches are doing. And you know, I think he took everything very well. I think he did pick up his practice effort. But, you know, and I'm not making an excuse for the guy, but when you're kind of a big game competitor kind of guy and been through it a year or two, and spring ball probably just doesn't get him too excited, quite frankly. You know, he's like, let's get to Clemson, let's play ball, you know. So, but even though he may feel that way, he still has to give effort on a daily basis to become great. And, you know, those are some of the things we talked about, and he was awesome with it and did well.
Last question, do you sit out there and look around and do the math in your head, okay, this guy's gonna be back, this guy's gonna be back, this guy's gonna be back, or do you sit there and look
As far as injuries, that kind of
or do
thing?
you look at the moment and you say, he needs to do that?
No, well, I do both, but I do, as a head coach, I kind of look a little bit farther down the road, I think, sometimes, where I know what it's like to be the coordinator and try to get the first team, second team, third team reps, and you're kind of spread so thin, and you're like, my gosh, things are bad. But then when you realize, hey, in the fall, you only have to put one team out there, and a lot of these guys are going to be back healthy, and it's going to be okay, you know. But sometimes on a daily basis, it can get real frustrating.
Seth, one more question, Seth, was it time?
On Trey Matthews, he was listed first on that depth chart we
I
got.
thought Weiser was close too.
There you go.
Did Trey have a good spring, and the hamstring is all that's holding him back? Is that
Well, he's like everybody else back there, trying to figure it out. He works some first team reps, some second team reps. There's nothing settled back there.